Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Creature Replica Himalayan Yeti. Some of you may not even know about this line of figures, some of you might be familiar with them. It's a set of 4 figures featuring various kind of horror-esque monsters, creatures, if you want to call them creatures. That works because that's what the name of the line is. And they are action figures. I don't think they technically have a scale really, but I'll give you a height measurement. And the thing is, they're really well sculpted. But they have some issues, so I'm gonna break it all down for you guys so you can decide if you want to buy them, and we'll go from there. So let's get them off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, this guy stands roughly, now he is hunched over a little bit and you can't really do much about that, so we're going to take that into consideration, and the height measurement does include the hunch. He's just over 21 centimeters, which makes him just about 8.5 inches, so he definitely has some size. Now, of course, it's a Himalayan Yeti, so who knows? I guess technically that'd be pretty close to a 1/12 scale, so your Marvel Legends DCUC style figure. It could fit in anything in that range because there's no set height for a Himalayan Yeti, you know? So these things, they're perplexing because they look really cool, and they're not made very well, though, so that's the thing. It's like somebody created a character design, knew how to sculpt really well, made a really cool sculpt, but then wasn't sure about how to make an action figure. That's the vibe I'm getting from this. The articulation mostly doesn't work, but we'll get to that in a second. First, they each come with a cool base. This guy's base, it might be hard to see on camera since it's mostly translucent and white. Hopefully it's not just completely washed out. But it's basically a clear piece of plastic with white frosty painting. It has a little bit of blue on there, and it has this skull painted on it. So it's meant to look like snow and ice and a skull, and it works really well because this translucent plastic that has like this pearly finish, it gives a very frosty feel. Very cool. So I like that, no pun intended. Now this guy, on the other hand, he is not quite as good. You can see throughout the paint job is just a little iffy, especially around those chest patches of skin. It doesn't look great. It doesn't look bad, but it's not great. Especially with these yellow spots around the fur. It looks a little weird. The blue spots, not quite great. I think they would have been a lot better off just doing a dry brush instead of having these weird yellow streaks. It looks kind of like the whole yellow snow thing got transferred over to the Yeti. It doesn't look just like colored fur. It looks like somebody streaked him with something. So that's a bit of a problem. The flesh tones, on the other hand, are pretty cool. They didn't do too much shading in the torso, but in the face, it looks pretty nice. We do have some shading. The eyes look good, the teeth look good, the mouth looks pretty good, so that's a good deal. The hands, pretty similar. Nice shading throughout, looks pretty cool. So that's good. And then we have these gray spots, which I don't know what's up with that. We just have these lines in here. They're kind of sculpted in, so I'm not sure if they're supposed to be cuts or something like that. I'm just not sure. It's a little weird. So the paint job's good enough, I guess. It's a little weird with the yellow on there, but it looks okay. As a whole, it looks kind of cool. So as far as the articulation goes, the head is on a ball peg, which works nicely. It's good enough. It's actually a double ball peg, but it doesn't have the best range, but it's good. It's good enough. It's fine. You can move the head around, so I like that. Pretty good range of motion. Shoulders, standard ball hinge, really stiff. Doesn't give you the best range, but it works. If you're familiar with a ball hinge, you'll be able to pose this guy pretty well. And if you collect contemporary figures, you'll be able to do that. Bicep swivel, again, it's a little stiff based on the sculpt, but it works all right. The elbow hinge is a peg in the forearm that gives you a rotation down here. And then the hinge. So it's kind of like some Aneka's figures. It doesn't quite give you 90 degrees, but it's enough. It doesn't straighten out very far, but for a guy like this, you don't really need to put him in the most dynamic of poses. We just get a wrist swivel, and then for the waist and torso, it looks like you would have good articulation, but all you have is a little bit of a swivel here and a little bit of a swivel here. So really poorly executed there. I'm not sure why they decided to have this overlap the bottom. It doesn't hide the joint. It just doesn't look good and doesn't hide anything. It doesn't work. So I'm not sure. Like I said, I think whoever designed these just didn't really understand articulation very well. I feel like he had somebody else do it, and they didn't do a good job. That's the vibe I get. I have no idea officially. For the hips, we have this old Marvel Legends style hip that we saw on some of the early Hulk figures. Even that one Wolverine has a hip like this. It's kind of similar to the DCUC hips in that it's just a swivel this way and a hinge this way. Now the thing on this guy is the hinge works okay going out to the side if you wanted to. It doesn't close though. What you're seeing right there is as far in as it goes. The legs are mostly straight, but it's not right. There's no way that gap is supposed to be there, so that's a problem. And then you do have very minimal range of motion in that regard, so it's just not great. That's, again, articulation not well executed, not well conceptualized. For the knee, we have a single jointed knee, which is fine. We still see a lot of companies doing this. I do like that they put the kneecap on the tibia rather than in the middle of the cut joint. That's way better. I hate it when the kneecap itself has a cut in it. So that works pretty well. If you're going to go for a single joint, that's the way to do it. It works just fine. And then for the ankles, we have a little bit of a ball peg, mostly just a swivel. You can lean it a little bit around, but that's mostly just going to be for balancing issues, not for real dynamic poses. And he does peg into his base, so that'll help for that. So ultimately, it's a kind of cool looking figure. Definitely would benefit from a better paint job, and most definitely would benefit from articulation that actually works. It's a really good concept, almost there, but I feel like he or they or whoever designed it needs a little bit of articulation education. That's what I would go for it. But it's cool. If you're into this kind of stuff, go ahead and grab them. I guess it's just don't expect it to be highly functional. Just put it on the shelf and let it look pretty cool. I guess that'll do it. I don't know. I personally wouldn't buy them, but there you go. You can see what it is and make the decision for yourself. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. In the meantime, keep collecting.